Blog Talk Radio.
Namaste, everyone. Welcome to Nature of Reality Radio. It is September 9th, 2015. This is your host, Andrew Fisher, broadcasting Wednesdays from the suburbs of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, to expose the true and false nature of reality for what it is and what it isn't. On this show today, Dr. Kelli Coffee, a metaphysics doctor who will raise enlightenment and awareness on a whole slew of subjects. She has a YouTube channel, Kelli in the Raw, and a Facebook channel, facebook.com/The Kelli Club. That's Kelli spelled Kelli. I first heard about her on her interview on N5D Radio about the Moon Matrix, and I recently listened to her one-on-one conversation with Michelle Walling, where Michelle gave a lot of advice to Kelli. Pretty emotional conversation that was. I believe this is Kelli in the queue here, area code 817. I believe that is the number that Kelli told me she will be calling on. So, Kelli, I will get you on in a little bit, no later than 10 after the hour, probably a little bit sooner. But as usual, first, let me see if there's anybody in the chat room. No, just one guest without an account, so hopefully that will change a little bit. Hopefully Sean Cohen and some others will show up. But first, as usual, we will do the news, courtesy of Alex Jones and Company at InfoWars. First article: Feds threaten to kick miners off land to expand Area 51. The Air Force puts pressure on mine owners with possible eminent domain seizure. Well, we all know Area 51 is treated like they're above the law. In the Area 51 episode of Conspiracy Theory with Jesse Ventura, and this happened on lots of other episodes where Area 51 was featured on a lot of shows where people would go up to the Area 51 border. They would go by the sign that said, "Warning, use of deadly force authorized. You cannot enter this property without permission from the installation commander." And some people in a pickup truck with tinted windows were driving up on the hill, and they were getting closer and closer the closer you got to the border. And if you were to actually walk by, they would shoot you. And Jesse Ventura asked this guy from Rachel, Nevada, who was with him, "How would you know who the installation commander is?" And the guy said, "You won't if you try to file a Freedom of Information Act to find out who the installation commander it is at Area 51. It'll just come back blank." And Jesse Ventura tried to create a one-on-one conversation with the state representative who's in charge of the district that Area 51 is in, but that guy decided not to hold any sort of a meeting and totally ignored him. So when it comes to being above the law, Area 51 is treated like it is, and there's a lot of extraterrestrial technology there, and according to Akashic Records leader Andrew Bartzis, there's also time travel technology at Area 51. I do believe Bob Lazar is the real deal, although he didn't work at Area 51. He worked at S4, which is a remote location off Area 51, but it actually is part of Area 51, even it's not on the actual base, where there's hangars in the mountains where UFO craft that use Element 115 technology are placed. But it's kind of interesting, though, because you had heard that Area 51, they're not doing a lot of work there anymore because they're trying to move to other locations because a lot of people are finding out about Area 51. Bill Burns talked about that in my interview with him, Bill Burns of UFO Hunters. But make of this whatever you will. Let's just not let Area 51 get away with this, or the government get away with this. But, hey, give the government credit for acknowledging that Area 51 exists. It is so obviously there. There's so obviously a base there. Next article: Feminist study. You're racist if you don't have sex outside your race. You are, quote, sexually racist if your sexual history lacks diversity, study claims. All right. Well, I don't know how not having sex with anyone makes you racist. It's not supposed to make sense. I told you, it doesn't make sense. It's not supposed to. That's just what the feminists who try to divide and conquer us are trying to do. And InfoWars has been having a field day with all this divide and conquer stuff that the feminists are doing. So thank you for talking about this. I don't think I need to talk about this any further, though. Next article: Baltimore mayor admits $6.4 million Freddie Gray payout was to prevent more riots. He cites, quote, potential liability that could come with an unfavorable jury verdict, unquote. Well, you know that there's a problem when people have to start paying money in order to prevent riots. It shouldn't have to be like that. People, let's not riot. Let's try to protest things peacefully. I mean, I know it's natural to get pissed off when the police murder people for unjust reasons and all that. But still, having to force people, regardless of whether they're in politics or not, to pay money to prevent riots is inexcusable. I don't want that to happen. I want us to be peaceful and I mean, I know the police are abusing their authority and all, but I mean, let's not let one little incident cause all hell to break loose. All right, next article. European Union. What's this word? I must plead ignorance on this word. It says EU apparatchik demands Europe accept 160,000 refugees. Calls for sanctions on states that refuse. Well, when it comes to trying to give people asylum and sanctuary whenever they're a refugee, it's natural to want to help them in some regards, but if there's a whole slew of people trying to come into the country and cross the border, then it may be in the country's best interest, or probably is in the country's best interest, not to accept them. And to call for sanctions on states that refuse is downright disgusting. But you know, the European Union, they want these refugees, illegal immigrants, etc., to come to these countries to take our jobs and screw us over and crash the economy and all the rest of it. So, I mean, if a country doesn't want to let these refugees in, don't hold anything against them, it's perfectly understandable with what's going on. Same is true with the illegal immigrants in America. If people don't want illegal immigrants coming to this country, don't call them haters and racist and discriminatory for not letting the illegal immigrants in. If there's a conspiracy to make those illegal immigrants take our jobs and all the rest of it, which there is, a Cloward and Piven conspiracy, then it's perfectly understandable to force immigrants and refugees to go through some sort of a process to cross the border. All right, next article, special report. The Confederate statue they won't take down. Okay, I haven't read the sub-article yet. Let me guess. The Confederate statue, I guarantee you it's Albert Pike. Let's see. Sub-article. Oh, well, I knew it. Albert Pike statue still stands at the northwest axis of 3rd and D in the nation's capital. Albert Pike was a very powerful 33rd degree Freemason, knew a lot of secrets and stuff, and he basically revealed those secrets in plain sight, talking about what the three world wars would be about. And he was a Confederate general, and you know that we want to get rid of everything Confederate. Well, some people want to get rid of everything Confederate. In regards to that whole getting rid of the Confederate flag thing, I really didn't get involved with that. I mean, I really didn't think it was in our best interest to take down the Confederate flag, because that might cause a vicious cycle and a dangerous precedent where it will cause other people to want to take down perfectly legitimate flags and acceptable flags for illegitimate purposes, like, don't take that American flag, take that American flag down because the American flag is racist or something like that. Well, I really didn't want to get involved with that. And as far as not taking down the Albert Pike statue, well, the reason they're not taking it down is because Albert Pike was a notorious New World Order minion back in his day, and the powers that be had a lot of respect for him and loved him back in the day when he was alive, and they're not going to take it down. So enough of that. Next article. Almost half of New York police brutality cases being proven with video. Filming police is protecting the rights of Americans. Well, of course it is. Of course, in some places like Illinois, they will pass laws that they have no authority to pass, by the way, which say that you cannot film the police in public. I mean, when you're out in public, there is no reasonable expectation of privacy. You're putting yourself out in the open, so you can't reasonably expect people to not look at you. So that's why we have the right to film police, just like they have the right to film us in public. And yet it's a good thing that police brutality cases can be proven with video. Make sure you upload your videos to Ustream and such, so if the police break your camera, they will not be able to get away with it. Next article. Images show jihadist militants entering Europe as refugees. Photos stoke concerns that ISIS, which the U.S. government publicly runs, is exploiting crisis to infiltrate terrorists into the West. Yes, and the U.S. government is back behind all the conspiracy. Let the ISIS or Al-Qaeda, which are basically the same thing, into a nation. Let them in, say, we need to save that country because it's being invaded by ISIS and Al-Qaeda. Of course, the illusion being they're the ones who put ISIS and Al-Qaeda into the country. And so the saving the country is all an illusion to expand the American empire, and America is, of course, the Roman Empire of the New World Order. So enough of that. Next article. Donald Trump says we have to accept migrants here because they're living in hell in Syria. He says we have to do it on a humanitarian basis. Well, I know Jesse Ventura said he'd be willing to be Trump's running mate, even though there are some things he acknowledges that he and Trump disagree upon. It seems like Donald Trump, maybe he is turning to the good side a little bit. You know, like former Pennsylvania Governor Tom Ridge was selected as the original Department of Homeland Security after the government staged 9/11. And then he acknowledged many years later that the Department of Homeland Security was forcing him to do all sorts of evil things he didn't want to do, and he was like turning to the good side and leaving the dark side. Well, maybe Trump is doing the same thing, but But still, he does have a few flaws. And InfoWars, I do remember seeing an article recently where they said that Donald Trump, he'll never get elected president because there are too many things he would do that the powers that be do not want. So enough of that. Let's get the cue here. Dr. Kelli Coffee, area code 817. You are on the air. Is this Dr. Kelli Coffee?
Yes, hello. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm just checking the chat room here. Sean Cohen, how you doing? Glad to see you there. You're the only person in the chat room here besides guests that can't post, but hopefully more people would tune in. Kelli, you're a fascinating and popular individual. I know from all the views that those videos that you got on those in 5D videos that you did. So I will probably be using your YouTube channel, Kelli in the Raw, as a guide to discuss some of the subjects that we will talk about in this interview. But I mean, if you don't want to answer this, fine. But just for the hell of it, I want to ask you some of those things that you had in your YouTube description, like in the about, those things that you told me that I could delete if I wanted to, like about hair and clothing and whatnot. What was it about that stuff that you didn't want a description? I mean, if you actually know a few things about that you want to share with people, by all means, I'd like to give you the chance now to start off with some of that stuff.
Oh, sure. Yeah, that's not a problem. It's just, to me, from the genre of your show, I thought it sounded a little bit silly talking about makeup and hair on there. But I did start my YouTube channel out basically cutting hair. I do not have a license. I did own a salon, and I learned how to cut hair from my employees. So I have been cutting hair for my family and my friends, and I came from television. I hosted travel shows. And when it got to the point where I was going to have to start sleeping with people to get anywhere, I said, well, screw that. I'm done. So I moved on over to YouTube, and it's like, what am I going to do on YouTube? I don't know. So I got on YouTube, and the first video I did was cutting my hair in my own bathroom and teaching people how to cut their own hair at home. And it got like 100,000 views overnight. And I thought, well, people want to know how to cut hair. Well, it wasn't very long after I started my channel that I had a near-death experience. And once I had my near-death experience, I looked at my life so differently. And not that hair and makeup are not important, but it seems so shallow compared to the vastness of this universe and beyond this universe, and what really matters and what doesn't. So I just looked at that and I thought, oh, that just kind of sounds silly to put hair and makeup on there. But that has been a passion of mine for a long time. If you saw me without makeup on, you would know that I have to be an artist to be able to fix this mug.
All right, so starting off with some of the things that you research. By the way, how can you get a degree a doctorate degree in metaphysics? Can you give us some enlightenment on that degree, how you got it and how anybody can get it? Because many people don't think of a doctorate in metaphysics.
Oh, absolutely. I paid $39 for my doctorate, and I got it the same way that most ministers, reverends, whatever you want to title yourself, the same way that they get it. And it's to be ordained. And then you get to choose, do you want it, in metaphysics or something else. So I thought, well, since I died and I understand how the universe works and I can explain that in simple terms where people can understand, I think I need to choose metaphysics for that.
Well, you picked a very good subject because metaphysics, there's a lot of stuff in that field that they want to conceal out of the textbooks. But let's start off small, try to save some of the best stuff for last here. Health, nutrition, supplements. All right. I have had a few nutrition experts on my show, like Connie Boucher and all. But I guess when it comes to nutrition, my understanding of nutrition is there are 90 essential nutrients. You cannot get them all from food. You have to supplement. So I guess we'll talk about supplements here, kill two birds with one stone. You have to supplement to some degree to get all your nutrients. You can't just get it from food. And although some would debate that if you're out in nature, you can, like if you meditate really hard, and we did this at the Mount Shasta conference I was recently at, just stick your arms and your fingers out and ask for all the elements, the nutrients that you need, and let Mother Nature bring them into you to nourish you if you're lacking something. First of all, what do you want to tell society about what kind of nutrition you think is the best? What kind of supplements do you think people could take? I know there's a lot of variables here in regards to the type of person, but just an overall general outlier here. And also, what's your take on the idea that if you're out in nature, you can ask Mother Nature to feed you of anything that you're lacking?
On the subject of nutrition, I just want to let everybody know I do not have any formal training on that. Everything that I've done is from self-study since 1987. I went to International Science Fair researching B12, so everything that I've learned is from self-study, and a lot of it is from just screwing up myself and trying to fix it. So I've been in perpetual self-study with supplements, nutrition, and all of that. What I see that is basically wrong with what most people are doing is they follow the guidelines of the government, which if you see the government is basically run by corporations, and then they set the guidelines for nutrition. They set the guidelines incredibly low. So people are very, very malnourished. They take in too many calories and not enough nutrition. You have the problem of farming as well. From current modern day practices with farming, when you get away from organic, you don't have the nutrients in the soil like you used to. And that is why you have to start supplementing if you eat foods that are of the modern day way of farming, because they have stripped the soil of nutrition and nutrients. Things like silver. Why do we have to take colloidal silver when you didn't have to in the past? Because there was a lot of silver in the soil, but we no longer have those things out there. So if you did go out into nature, if you will, in some areas of the world, you would get all of the nutrients that you need from the food that you get from that region. But in the society that we live in, now a modern society, we do have to supplement. That is very important. The government also set the guidelines of what they call a food pyramid, and they have what they call food groups, which makes absolutely no sense at all. What people need is fat, carbohydrates, and water. And from those things, fats, carbohydrates, protein, and water. And those are the four things you need. It doesn't have to come from milk. It doesn't have to come from meat. It doesn't have to come from grains. Those are guidelines set because of the subsidization. I can't even talk today. Good grief. The subsidizing of the farmers. They subsidize corn. So, of course, corn's going to be in everything, and the government's going to say this is good for you. So you need to look at, are you getting the right amounts of carbs, protein, fats, and water in whatever form, and try to find the most natural form that you can possibly do. There are a lot of bad diets out there. You have to be very careful. You have to do what's right for your body. And most people can energetically feel if a food is good for them or not. So more than doing any kind of consulting, since I don't have a license and I should not be consulting people on how to eat, the role that I have played in all of this is what not to eat. I've warned people about aspartame. I warn people about what they put in the food that is considered poison. I warned them about the pyramid scam here with our government, that they're trying to promote products that they subsidize. So that's more along the lines of what I do. And just like you interview people who are experts in nutrition, that's what I do as well. Annette Larkin, she ate raw foods, and she's 70, she's 73, trying to remember how old she is right now. And she looks like she's in her 30s. She's absolutely beautiful from eating raw foods. So just do what's right. Do what's right for you.
Yeah, when it comes to to supplements, I do take my fair share. I get them from InfoWars. There's a DNA Force one I take, which is supposed to improve mitochondrial health. There's a Brain Force that I take, supposed to enhance your brain's ability. A defense thing to make you enhance your body's defenses. A cleanser of sorts. Also, Super Male Vitality to enhance my energy and all that, and Survival Shield to protect from Fukushima radiation. A lot of people would say you really don't need to take this stuff, and the pills in particular, like the DNA Force pill and the Brain Force pill, and also an oil of oregano pill. Some people seem to shun the idea of taking pills because that's sort of like going into big pharma territory, because they're trying to get us to take synthetic medicines instead of all natural medicines. Although, I mean, I often make the assertion, well, if it's synthetic, it's not really that bad. I mean, just because it's synthetic doesn't mean it's bad. If you think about it, if the people that are in the lab synthesizing the drug or the supplement, if they hypothetically were to ask their angels and guides to help them create the best out of the supplements, and if they put white light, or so to speak, over the supplements that they're making while they're making them in the lab, and like giving the highest good of their heart soul essence to the supplements, then you can be sure that those synthetic supplements and medicines will help the people that take them get the best out of them. So when it comes to taking the kinds of like pills that I would take to enhance mitochondrial health, brain health, and like little droplet things to enhance like defenses and cleansing, is there any particular reason why anybody should be against taking them? Because they're saying like getting into big pharma territory, or is that much ado about nothing?
Well, right now, the FDA does not regulate supplements, and that is a very, very good thing at this point. Once they start regulating it, they're going to dictate what you should and should not take, just like everything else. You will have to go to a doctor to get what you want, and then most things will be synthetic, which from the independent research that I've done is very harmful to your body. I tend to steer towards the whole food vitamins, the things that come out of food. What you miss in the synthetic versions is the phytonutrients, because in our bodies we have living cells, and in plants they have the living parts called phytonutrients of the plant. When you eat those phytonutrients, it really gives your body a huge benefit, and the synthetic lacks the phytonutrients. Other things that take the phytonutrients out of your food are freezing over a long period of time. This is what I went to International Science Fair for. So if you have anything in the freezer that's older than about 3 weeks, you're not getting the benefit out of it that you should. Microwaving kills the phytonutrients. Overcooking kills the phytonutrients. So I would always recommend a whole source for vitamins. Juicing is absolutely incredible. But you do have to do a little bit more research when you don't have something that's regulated. You need to research the companies that make the vitamins. And that's how you find out which ones you can trust and which you can't. The problem is you have to keep your eye on it all the time, because you will have a really good company that is putting out good whole food vitamins or herbs or whatever they happen to be putting out. Then you have a large corporation that comes in and it's like, wait a minute, you're taking a big slice out of my pie. So they will come in and they will quietly buy that company that you used to trust, and they will start putting out products that become harmful then. They start becoming synthetic. They cut corners. They start getting their products from somewhere else. You were talking about a supplement you take for radiation. They found out, this is from the Japanese, the ones that survived and didn't get any radiation poisoning or anything harmful happened to them, they ate miso soup. Even in Japan and in some of the Asian countries, any of the workers that work around radiation, they're required to drink or consume at least 2 bowls of miso soup a day. Seaweed also, it eliminates the radiation. So there are a lot of things that you can put in your diet instead of taking a pill, but there's only so much that you could eat a day. So if you can't consume everything that you need to eat, and you just don't want to eat miso soup every single day, and there are pills that will do the same thing, I say go for it. absolutely go for it. But it gets into big pharma territory once the big corporations take over and they start altering what is natural and what is good to put in your body.
All right, let's move on from the health and supplement stuff into some more eye-opening stuff. Speaking of eyes, see your most recent video here on YouTube. Actually, no, this is the I don't know. This is one of the most popular videos actually I have here. This is the most popular video. How to see multidimensional beings, ghosts with your eyes. Well, first of all, what is a ghost? It seems like a lot of people give different definitions of what a ghost is, and not all ghosts are created equal. A certain percentage of ghosts are this, a certain percentage are that, and well, that I guess means that not all of them you can see using the same skills. You have to do different things in order to see different versions of ghosts. So I guess enlighten us. This video was 13 minutes 55 seconds, but try to give us a nice summary of this video of how to see multidimensional beings, ghosts with your eyes, and what are ghosts.
Okay. And this is all from my experience. I've learned with a large number of the audience, they start to get confused when you throw vocabulary in. Some people love vocabulary, and that's fine. They need to go, read their books or find the people that have the $50 words that come out of their mouth. But I'm finding out a large majority of those out there need, I guess, kind of like a picture of what's going on. So I try to steer away from vocabulary, but ghost is kind of like a vocabulary word. From my experience, ghosts are typically seen in black and white. Not everybody sees ghosts in black and white. That's just how I see them. And a lot of the people that I talk to see ghosts in black and white. What I call a spirit, or what other people are also calling a spirit, those are typically seen as in color. And these multidimensional beings, or these entities, they project images of themselves. Because when you're outside of this body, you are a creator being, and you can create anything. You are basically almost like like vapor, energy vapor, and you are not really in a form. But when your dead grandmother comes to see you, it looks like your dead grandmother. but the entity had to project that image to you for you to actually see that. What I call a ghost, and most people call a ghost, those are ones who have died. Those are typically humans or animals who have died, and some of them don't know they're dead. Some of them aren't ready to go, and they stay around. They need energy from their surroundings. You can typically see them easier where there's a lot of electricity around lamps, power lines, things like that. You can see them a lot easier because they need energy in order to project themselves better. Those the simplest way to say it is that return to source, the universe, the creator of this universe. After you die and your spirit goes and is with the creator and then comes back to visit, you typically see those in color, and those are called spirits. And then it breaks down from there, from the ones that can move objects or the ones that just scare you, and it gets all into all kinds of entities. But the way that you see them with your eyes, they project themselves any way that you can see them. Some come in your sleep while you're dreaming, and they will come visit you there for those. Some people can just close their eyes, and they can see these entities in their mind. They will project these visions in their mind. But they're just a frequency, and frequencies show themselves as colors, just like the aura around you. And whether it's seeing an aura or seeing an entity or seeing multidimensional beings, it's all just about the same thing. Since you were a child, you learned to focus on things. Here, focus on the paper, focus on the chalkboard, focus on the food on your plate, focus on the wall. You're always focusing on something, and you're chastised for daydreaming. And daydreaming is typically the state that you get in when you can see these beings. Most people, when they daydream, they kind of zone out, and their eyes are unfocused. they're not focusing on what we call a solid object here on this planet. And it is in those places where you are not focusing on the wall, on your hand, or on anything. You're focusing in the middle of the room. Then suddenly you start to see these things. A lot of people will see them out of the corner of their eye. That can be explained by the curvature of your eye. You see them accidentally when it's like, oh my goodness, I've seen something over here to the side. Then you look at it. To you, it disappears. It's still there. It's just that you tried to focus on something and you can't see it then. So it's just a technique that I teach people to either unfocus their eyes or focus their eyes in the middle of the room, and it's really as simple as that. In seeing the auras, the entities, dead people, whatever you want to see.
Yeah, do you think it's fair to say that some of those TV shows like Ghost Hunters are actually not faked? The people that made those shows, they are legitimate. They actually are not trying to fake anything. I mean, maybe a few things are exaggerating, but in general, they actually are trying to show what is real in regards to what's being haunted. Do you agree or disagree with that?
I don't want to specifically comment on that show. I am bound by contracts from some channels and some networks that have been trying to work with me to do a reality show. So I have a lot of inside information on a lot of shows, and what is faked, what is real, what is scripted, and how it works. So I think it would be safest for me to talk in general, if that's okay, and kind of use generalities instead of specific shows. First, I don't want to get myself in any trouble, and I don't want to call anybody out, start a fight, and get sued here. But there are shows on television where there are legitimate psychics. These people are definitely psychic, but because ghosts usually don't appear on cue, around, hey, appear. Because of that, what these shows will typically do is take a scenario that actually happened and do a type of reenactment of that show. There are a tremendous number of shows out there that are faking it. They're absolutely faking it, where they're a ghost hunting type show, where it's all just faked. There may or may not be ghosts out there. There's one, I don't want to say the name of this one, but it's, I don't want to say the name of it, but there is a legitimate show out there, and it does involve, and people can figure it out, someone who is an investigator who physically goes out and looks up records to see, did this person die? How old were they? When did they die? How did they die? What happened? And then you have someone who is psychic, and they get an impression of in the house that, oh, yes, this person died this way. It was a male. This was their name. And then they come together and compare notes. That particular show is absolutely real. But there are so many out there, people so desperate to be on television that they will fake it. But it's not just the people that do it. It's the producers. I was approached by about 100 producers, networks, channels, TLC, by a lot of them. They wanted to take what I did, which, just talking to dead people, that is a very, very small thing that I do compared to a lot of other things that I do. But they really wanted to emphasize that. Then they're like, well, what if you stood in front of a crowd of, 500 people and did readings? And I'm like, well, I don't do that. I teach people to do it themselves so that they don't have to rely on psychic people. So they wanted to twist what I did in my life and make it look as if that is what I did. So there's a lot of entertainment value once you get on TV that they want to project something that is not really real life. And then you have the ones that are actual reality, which this is not psychic, but like Honey Boo Boo. Honey Boo Boo, that is not scripted. This is a train wreck, and they just follow the train wreck around with cameras. So there are some shows that are like that. None of them felt right to me. And my daughter, I taught her how to do this, and none of them felt right. They wanted to do things that we don't do, and none of them felt like what I was supposed to do. I felt like it would take a step back for everybody in the psychic community if I participated in that, because I came back from the dead basically to do a whole lot more than to entertain people on television with talking to dead people.
Okay, well, you have to understand, like, people say television is only good for brainwashing, but then again, a Diamond in the Rough show comes along that has the potential to wake people up, and I remember Michelle Walling saying that watching some, like, ghost hunter shows did seem to wake her up, just like I would say watching Ancient Aliens and UFO Hunters woke me up to the extraterrestrial UFO cover-up, and Bill Burns, in my interview with him, did say that UFO Hunters was, for all intents and purposes, shut down because, well, he didn't admit this, but he said they were releasing too much info, so there are some good TV shows that are out there that come along to wake people up, don't get me wrong. So, but let's move on. Going off your list here of your most popular videos on your channel, because I think that'll probably get the best information out. How about this one? Before you commit suicide, watch this video first. Well, first of all, I said earlier that when it comes to what ghosts are, it's a percentage factor. Some ghosts are this, some ghosts are that. Some people say that some percentage of ghosts are people who committed suicide. Is there truth to that? And, well, yes or no? And then after that, tell us a brief summary of what you talk about in this 11-minute, 36-minute video.
In my experience, a lot of what I see ghosts are the ones that are black and white. They also appear to be about the size of maybe a ping pong ball, and they tend to be almost completely black and fuzzy looking. A lot of them do tend to be people who have committed suicide, or they possibly were murdered. So I do have a lot of experience seeing those, because they do vibrate at a very low level. If you get to the point where you are going to commit suicide, your vibrational level is very, very, very low. But these people that do this, they're not stuck at all. they're not stuck. When they get in that state, all they have to do is raise their vibration, and they can go to basically a different dimension or a different part of this universe that is what we would call on this planet a little bit more positive. And as far as the suicide video, the funny thing about my videos is I will do a video, then I'll go, I have no idea what I said on that video. I will go back and watch, and people ask questions, and I'll be like, no, don't answer that, Kelly. You don't know the answer. And then I'll listen to my answer, and I'll go, oh, my gosh, that sounds great. I would have never thought about saying this. So I'm not sure what happens in a lot of my videos. I think what you might call your higher self kind of takes over in a lot of these situations. Some of the advice that I gave was to relieve them of guilt, because there's a lot of guilt in religion. If you kill yourself, you're going to hell. So I basically told them, no, that is not true. You won't go to hell if you kill yourself. You have a type of mission that you came to do on this planet. You coordinated with a lot of other souls or spirits. You coordinated with them to come on this planet and role play for the sake of learning. So if you do commit suicide, you're not going to hell. The biggest thing that's going to happen, I guess, on a spiritual level is the ones that you came here to role play with are going to be disappointed. And that's it. And for some reason that helps a whole lot of people when you tell them that, and they're so relieved that they're not going to hell. But once they go, oh, there is no hell. Wait a minute, I want to know more. Maybe life isn't as bad as I thought it was. So then they start to learn about the nature of, what God truly is and how the universe works, and then they're not suicidal anymore. They completely change their own lives. And I just want to tell everybody out there right now, if you were going to commit suicide and you didn't, I am so proud of you. I am so proud of you for doing that.
What about ninjas who commit seppuku? Is that like an exceptional case of suicide where you're going to be rewarded for doing it because you did it as an honor or a tribute to something?
From my experience, when people die, if they it's not the same thing, but think of someone who's terminally ill. And, they call up Dr. Kevorkian, hey, come help me die. That is not someone that hates their mother. They hate, everybody at school. And it's either, kill myself or go gun down the school. They're not in that vibrational state. They just want to leave. And if you leave in a vibrational state of honor, then when you pop out of your body, you're going to be in a completely different place than if you think society is out to get you, your life is horrible, you were raped or beaten, or, whatever you think, or you didn't make the cheerleading team, whatever it is that puts you in that horrible vibration. It's all vibration. It's not even details. Whether you commit suicide or not, what vibrational state were you in when you did that? Were you in the middle of robbing a bank? And you were upset, you're on drugs, you go and rob a bank and you get shot and die. Those people tend to get stuck as well. So I don't, if they were very, very upset and they were in a low vibrational state and they killed themselves out of honor, I would think they would be in the same place as those who committed suicide who were upset when they did it as well. The universe doesn't judge. I mean, I guess that's my point. The universe doesn't judge. It's like, hey, wait a minute, someone else, you stabbed yourself instead of someone else stabbing you. They don't care. What was your vibration when you died?
Thanks for clarifying that. Next video I see here, how to push a person with your mind energy. Okay, this reminds me of like what the Jedi sometimes do in Star Wars, or sometimes in some martial arts where, I don't remember exactly which martial art this was, but the guys created like a ball of energy with their hand and then flashed their hands like 2 inches from another person's face, and that caused the person to lie down flat as if they were actually literally getting punched. And well, as the theory goes, what those people are doing is mixing up ki or chi energy and blasting it in the person's face to knock them over. I'm gonna assume that's kind of what this video is about to some degree, but hey, enlighten me. How do you push a person with your mind energy?
This is when I got in, I don't want to say I got in any trouble, but it started a lot of people getting really upset. Hey, you're messing with someone's free will and all of that. As my channel is really different. I don't come in front of people and go, hey, I know everything and this is how it's done. My channel is basically watching Kelli fall down all the time. Oh, don't do that. Oh, I figured out one way of doing it. There are so many ways that you can push someone or do another psychic technique. And I had just figured out one of them, and I was so excited that I wanted to share that one. There's so many, like you're saying, the chi and all that. You can push people that way too in objects. This was just a way that I was able to manipulate energy. I had a friend who was into like witchcraft and Satanism at the same time. Wouldn't recommend it, but they taught me a whole lot about energy manipulation. And I'm like, well, how do you do this? And, like this. And then he pushed me against the wall with energy, and I was stuck there for a while. Even after he put his hand down, I was like, okay, this is really weird. Why can't I not get off the wall? And he was just sitting over there laughing, his little mischievous laugh. And I was like, how'd you do that? And he wouldn't tell me. I was like, well, crap. So I was teaching my daughter how to do a lot of different things, seeing auras, reading people's minds, how to, see through people and diagnose them and all that. And so I was like, try to push me. So she was very, very intuitive. She kind of knew a lot of things. It was more of a remembering than a teaching for a lot of things. So she started to push me. It wasn't very hard, but I could feel her pushing me. And so I said, baby girl, what did you do? And she described a technique of using multicolored energy. It's as if you had just every color. There are colors that exist outside of this reality that I don't even know what to call those colors, but I include those colors too. It's like if you took, let's say a bunch of colored pencils, if you will, and you put them together, like you put a rubber band around them, and it makes a circle. And then you extend that like a light ray. That's what it looks like, multicolored beams coming from your hand, And you do all of this with your mind, and then you push the colors into the person, and you continue to push the colors through that person, and it pushes them backwards. So I was like, oh, that is so cool. So the next time my friend came over, I said, is this how you pushed me? And then I described that with the colors. And he was like, how did you figure that out? He was upset that I'd figured out how to do that. So that I just explained that technique on how to do that. There's hundreds of ways to push people. That was just one of them, and that was really cool.
Thanks a lot. Next article. I see this is either a two-part or a multi-part video. How to see an aura. Okay, I've been practicing this for quite a while, specifically either looking at myself in the mirror, just looking at someone in public, or looking at trees like out in the distance. I'm going to guess that it's actually easier to see the aura of a tree, like when the tree has a lot of green leaves around it, than in the middle of winter when it has no leaves on it. I mean, I could be wrong. Some people would say it really shouldn't make a difference there. The aura is still there either way. It just might be a slightly different color. But in regards to seeing auras, be it on people or plants or fungus or whatever the living thing may be, what advice do you have to give for us?
Seeing auras is one of the funnest things that you can do, and it's something that in your day-to-day lives you can use for practical purposes. And it's just like seeing entities. When you first do it, it's best to go on the side of the head, like by the ear, top of the head, when you look at someone's aura. You can also look past the hand. When you do that, you want to don't look at your hand, look beside your hand and focus past that point. And you have to be very relaxed. Some people use cannabis or other substances for the first time. If you do that, just be careful to learn how to do it without using substances. That becomes a handicap for a lot of people. But some people simply cannot relax until they put a substance in their body. But then the cool thing is, once you see it, then you go, oh, now I know how to do it. So they don't have to be deep, relaxed or medicated state when they do it. And then, like, the second way to do it is then to stare at the hand or at your face. Once you get that practice, people will typically see like clear or white at the very beginning. Then they start to see colors as they practice. Then it evolves into, okay, let's go look through a person. Now, personally, I can see easier through a person with my eyes if they're in a dark room where there's absolutely zero light at all. I can even find my animals in the dark when there's no light. I can see their aura, and I can see them moving around. But when you understand the universe and how it works, that there is nothing solid, everything is made of energy, then it's so easy to see through somebody. So you just start basically doing that, I'm daydreaming, type stare at them, and just let your mind go. Don't be thinking about anything at all. Let your mind go. Then all of a sudden you can see through a person. You start to see, there was a movie, Lucy, and in that movie, when she started to get more brain capacity, she looked at a tree, and she could actually see what almost looked like veins of energy going through the tree and going through other things. That's what it looks like when you look through a person, and you can see, is there a disturbance of energy? Is there something that's bright red? Usually if you see something that's bright red, there's irritation or inflammation in that place. So that's basically seeing auras. And from seeing auras, it develops into, this is how I help people to do self-discovery. You can go out and you can find out, do Reiki or do this and that. I think it's really cool to start with the basics and work up to it so that you have full knowledge of what you're doing, and you're not just copying what someone else has done. You've kind of figured it out yourself. Most people who are psychic are dyslexic, and dyslexics work better when they figure things out for themselves. And that's kind of what I did. And as I figure things out, I share it with people. So then you start with manipulating the auras. So if someone's aura might be a little red or disturbed and you want to calm them down, then with your mind, you turn their aura blue. And blue is a calming color, and you turn it down. And typically from trying to heal someone that way, and there are I have over 1,000 videos. So I teach them how to use what I call healing colors, all kinds of things to help to heal someone when you're actively doing it. Then it progresses into, okay, I found out that if I'm sitting there actively trying to heal someone, it stops once I walk away. So they're no longer blue. They turn red again, and they get mad, once I walk away and I stop doing that. So it takes a lot of energy. It's really hard, and it's not permanent. So then you start dealing with energy grids, these grids that are around you. You take energy from them. One of them is Reiki. Some people call one of these energy grids the Holy Spirit. Some people do. You tap into those grids, and then you use that energy to heal people. And then what I've evolved into now is taking energy straight from what I call source, or the creator of this universe, and I just channel it and redirect it at people, and it's absolutely effortless. I don't even have to put my hand up. That just kind of helps me to focus. Okay, I can just sit there and eat a bowl of cereal if I want to and redirect the energy. It's absolutely effortless. So anyway, that's a progression from seeing auras and what you can do with it. When you have a salesman come to your front door and he's got black in his aura, you just close your door. don't let them in. When you go to look at fruit, go look at all the oranges. Look at the auras of all the oranges, and then see what that color is. And if you happen to pick up an orange and it's not the same color that an orange usually is, maybe you should not eat that orange. So there's a lot of practical things that you can do when you see auras.
Thank you very much. Hope people try experimenting with that. Next article here. Now we're getting into this psychic stuff. Well, I see a video down here that says How to Be Psychic, Episode 1, The Essentials, and then I see the next video here says How to Read Someone's Mind So Easy. I'm guessing the info in both those videos is somewhat related, as are the episodes following this Episode 1 here. But I guess I'll give you the floor to talk about this. Please do understand, though, there are other subjects I want to talk about with you, so even though you may need a lot of time to talk about how to be psychic, please don't take forever, because there's other subjects we got to discuss. I know you're a fascinating individual who can talk about a lot of things, so that does kind of mean we got to do some things on the fly here to get as many subjects in. But that's understandable for a show like this. So how to be psychic, tell us the important keys here.
On how to be psychic, that's probably like a 13-part series. I would just kind of suggest they go watch that. And in that, basically, I explain what being psychic is. And it's just a higher level of awareness. You are aware on a higher dimension than the one that you're in, than the density and the dimension you're in. And that's about all it is a higher level of awareness and understanding how the universe works. Once you understand how the universe works, reading someone's mind is really, really easy. Thoughts that are that come out of you are made of energy, thought forms, and you can tap into someone's thought form. You just have to think of their energy. You can read someone's mind whether they're 2 feet away from you or a continent away from you. You can still read someone's mind. You close your eyes. You tap into their energy. You make your mind blank. You don't think any thoughts. And most of the time you start to see images that are going through their mind. Sometimes you hear actual words that are coming. Sometimes you have what I call thought forms. You just have an understanding and knowing of something, even though it doesn't come in the form of words or pictures. It's just a knowing. It's interesting reading different people's minds because some people that are very artistic, you can see detail. It's just like looking at a comic book or watching a video. But some people who are very analytical, they tend to have stick figures. So if they're thinking about a person, you tend to see like a stick figure. when you see it. But it's just zoning in on their energy and reading it. You can also put thoughts into people's minds. You formulate that thought, and you just physically put that thought in their mind. It's just an exchange of energy, and it's just manipulating energy is all it is.
Thanks. Quick little thing on this video, getting back to nutrition here. There's a video here that says, check out my organic onions, huge. Now, I'm kind of interested about what you would see in onions because I remember reading something on ayahuasca, people that, the shamans that give people ayahuasca, they tell them one food that you do not want to eat before going on an ayahuasca trip because it will ruin the spiritual aspect of the ayahuasca. Well, you don't want to eat meat, and one certain vegetable you don't want to eat is onions. I don't remember why they said that, but they did give reasons as to why onions would not be a food you would want to eat because it would ruin the spiritual trip aspect of an ayahuasca experience. It wouldn't ruin the cleansing aspect because ayahuasca will cleanse you no matter what you eat before then, but as far as spirituality, like the trip part, it would ruin that. Any idea why that would be the case?
Oh goodness, I'm not sure about that. As far as onions go, onions are good for, oh good grief, you cut one open, it detoxifies the air. You eat it, it detoxifies your body. It draws bad things out, put on the bottom of your feet. You know, it sucks stuff out of you. Onions are very big. I think one reason that video became popular is not because of my onions that kind of grew a little crazy and got big. I think it was some other things why that video got so many hits, and it wasn't the big onions, if you know what I mean. If you look at the video, you'll see why they clicked on that video. But a lot of people did find me from that. I don't know. I need to research that because I do want to go on an ayahuasca trip and see what it's like.
Thank you. I'm looking here on another one of your videos here, Second Sun, Nibiru, Planet X. This was from 4 years ago, but this is a subject that's getting really, really popular nowadays. First of all, it goes without saying, people are confusing the issue in regards to what Nibiru refers to. There's the planet Nibiru that Zecharia Sitchin talked about, which is in a 3,600-year elliptical orbit in our solar system. And then there is the second sun, the red dwarf star, that people have also, for some reason, also referred to as Nibiru, and it's confused the issue. And that second sun is actually moving very close to our sun at the moment, and it's going to be in our vicinity throughout the year 2017. Alex Collier mentioned that in when he presented at the Mount Shasta conference that I was at. And there's obviously a big conspiracy to cover it up, and we are going to see like more reddish sunsets because this red dwarf second sun is going to be in our vicinity. And a lot of people say that this ties in directly with the whole Wave X thing about how in a couple weeks we're going to be having some big changes going on, like the week of September 21st to the 28th. The 28th, of course, there's going to be that final eclipse in the Tetrad series of eclipses, a lunar eclipse. And Matt Kahn, who interviewed Helene Lipson of N5D Radio, said that eclipse will signify the time when about one-third of humanity will be in higher consciousness. And there's also said to be an asteroid that's supposed to hit the Earth like on the 24th or 25th. But Andromeda Council contactee Tolek told me in my interview with him that his ET contact said they're going to make sure that asteroid gets destroyed and doesn't hurt if it's going to hit the planet, they're going to either deflect it or destroy it. So we don't have to worry about that. But they're also talking about like timeline mixing up things like on the 23rd and the 24th, and also Pope, of course, is coming to Philadelphia on the 26th and 27th, and he'll be leaving by the eclipse on the 28th. A lot of people say it's a violation of separation of church and state, the stuff he's going to be doing when he's here. But and of course, there's the talk about the stock market crashing, and we're going to have a new currency coming in sometime in October that's going to be gold backed. I don't know how good or bad that's going to be for everybody. It depends on how much you prepare for that. But I guess we'll talk about this for a little bit now. Wave X, the second sun, and what we are due for in September up until October. What do you have to say about this?
Mm-hmm. The cool thing is on tomorrow's show, I have Dr. Simon Adkins, and he is the one that did coin the phrase Wave X. So I'm going to be interviewing him tomorrow. And I get a lot of information from him on Wave X. But I'm just feeling positive things about this. The rest of the world is terrified because of the headlines. What they're doing is they're reading the headlines because what I affectionately call them the powers that be. They know that this is happening, and this is going to be, it's not going to be what people think. This day is going to pass, and they're nothing happened today. So it's not going to be anything that slaps you in the face. But the people that are paying attention are going to go, whoa, I felt that. But if you're not paying attention, you're not going to do it. But I see a lot of positive things that are going to be happening. People's DNA is going to be changing. And you don't even have to wait for this wave X. That's the cool thing. You can work with entities. You can work with source. And that's what I've been doing for the past several years, is doing multiple upgrades on my physical body in this third dimension. And also getting downloads in this. Getting more of, I guess, what you would call your spirit inside of this body. But I only feel positive things because this is going to be a time where people who don't normally have psychic abilities or even know how to use them, they're going to start to be able to use them, may or may not be aware that that's what they're going to do. The powers that be obviously put the doomsday scenario in front of you. Oh, our monetary system's going to collapse. Everybody's going to go to war. It's going to be a police state. They put all that in front of you because they know all of a sudden billions of people are going to be able to manifest quickly and easily. And they don't want us coming together and doing anything positive. They want to scare the crap out of people so that they manifest lots of really scary things. A lot of people are seeing glitches. There are a lot of glitches where you will have, and this has nothing to do with being abducted by aliens or anything, but you will have glitches in time that will happen. You will be like, wait a minute, so-and-so died, but why are they alive now? So you're going to see glitches like that where the storyline has changed, almost like you jumped onto another timeline where people who are supposed to be dead are alive, people who are supposed to be alive are dead. Those are the glitches that you're seeing in the system. But the second sun, the video that you are showing there, and I'm thinking this is the same video. Does it look like a green sun? Is that what you're seeing?
Yeah, I was on mute. Sorry. Yes, that is the video in question. Green sun is from 4 years ago. Yeah.
Okay. Well, what I was doing there, and I wasn't poo-pooing that there is no second sun. But what was happening is people were going crazy. Oh my gosh, look at the sunrise or sunset, or here there's two suns. So what it was a lens anomaly. That's what had happened. Is these are lens anomalies, and because they're the filters on their lens for looking at the sun are fixed. Every time you moved it, it looked like the sun was right beside our sun, or what appeared to be a sun, but it's just a lens anomaly. So I had a welder's, I had to rig my camera because I did not have a filter on it. I had a camera back when it looked kind of like the cell phones. So I got a welder's mask, and I actually taped it over the lens. I filmed the sunrise. It's like, if there is a second sun, I'm going to see it. So I walked outside, and I freaked out because I'm like, oh, my gosh, it's there. I can't see it with my eyes because I can't look at the sun, but it's there. Oh, my gosh. So I was trying to adjust the camera, and when I adjust the camera, I moved that filter, the welder's lens, that darkened it so you could see the sun. And I moved it, and that second sun moved. And I'm like, oh, my gosh, this is a lens anomaly. This, or lens flare is what it was. So I did the video, and I kind of, teased them at first. Oh, my gosh, it's real, And then in the middle of the video, I moved it and showed that this was a lens anomaly, and that's what most people were either photographing or videotaping was an anomaly and not the second sun. So my point was not to say there is no second sun, but people need to be realistic. There's a difference between looking at evidence, even doing some remote viewing and trying to to figure out the facts and just throwing out, oh my goodness, there's a second sun when there's not. So if we're going to talk about the second sun, let's talk about the real second sun and not a lens anomaly.
Yes, and in addition to that, when people talk about the name Nibiru, let's be specific as to whether you're talking about the planet or the second sun, because like I said, that's something that people confuse. My last guest, James Bartley, he did say, oh, thank you for pointing that out, because I have confused the issue in that regard, and I know that's something that people have become confused about. But anyway, I'd like to move on to some other articles here. I did see something here that I wanted to... Oh, yes, Levitation 101, how to levitate. Let me guess, does this tie in directly to how to move things, like the Jedi move things, and like the martial arts experts that I talked about, how they can make someone move by blowing ki energy into their face, or is there a completely different science behind how to levitate or make things levitate?
This video in particular, I think that you're talking about, I might be confusing it with another video, but I called it 101 simply because this is absolutely the basics. This is not, you watch this video and then you can just float around your house. That's not what this video is about. You've seen monks, like Tibetan monks, where they take a piece of paper on a frame and they're able to walk on that piece of paper without breaking it. This is what I was basically teaching people, is how to alter the force of gravity on your body. And it's something I discovered by accident after I died. When I died and you pop out of your body, one thing that is very, very awesome is you feel no effects of gravity. You are absolutely weightless, and it feels what I call normal. It's when you pop out of your body, it's like, oh, I forgot who I was for a minute in that video game. So when I popped back into the video game, I said, no, I'm coming back, and I came back to the video game, I felt like I weighed 1,000 pounds. Gravity made me so angry for about 2 years. I was angry with gravity, and I was having a hard time getting over that anger of the gravity. I even bought those rocking shoes or whatever they are. They're completely foam on the bottom where I could kind of bounce when I walked. I was just so freaking mad. So I had a friend teach me the Merkaba. Now, Merkaba is what I call playing inside this video game. So Merkaba is not outside of the video game, which is kind of like dimensions, about dimension 9 and above is outside the video game. So this is something about playing around in the video game. You put the Merkaba around you and you start it spinning, and you can create anti-gravity is the best way to phrase it. That's also a lot of beings from other dimensions are able to, I use this term loosely, physically travel from their dimension into ours while they're in a type of Merkaba technology. So that's why you see orbs. You know, when you have a spinning Merkaba, it creates what it looks like an orb. So I had a friend that I was in despair. I need to get just a break from gravity. Please, just 5 minutes from gravity is all I need, and then I will be okay. I can handle this. So I put the Merkaba around me, and all of a sudden I felt weightless. It was the most amazing feeling. I did not feel the pull of gravity on me at all. So if it's the video that you're looking at, and I'm not sure, I taught people basically how to put the Merkaba around them and start it spinning to where you don't feel the pull of gravity. So that's kind of step one in levitating. You have to figure out how to not let gravity affect you.
Well, let's talk about gravity for just a moment, because there seems to be a lot of confusion over what gravity is. Mainstream science would say that gravity it's not really a force. It's really more of a byproduct that comes about as a result of the bending of warping of the fabric of space and time. It's the fabric of curves in space and time caused by objects with mass. However, there seems to be a lot of debate in regards to this issue. I've talked about this coincidentally on some of my previous shows. Tolek, the Andromeda Council contactee, said that his ET contacts have told him there's a direct correlation between gravity and time. Like the farther away you move something from a gravitational field, like a clock, move a clock farther away from a gravitational field, it will tick faster because there's less gravity affecting the flow of time. Also, if you also gravity, Alex Collier talked about how his ET context told him that gravity has correlation with radiation from a star, and there's more than one type of radiation from a star, so that's an area that would certainly require a lot of research. And also Indigo Child Matthias De Stefano has talked about how time, as we understand it, can be thought of as a measure of the decay of matter. Why does matter decay? Why do people age? Well, it's because we perceive the illusion of time to be real, and that raises the whole question of how gravity is involved in causing matter to decay and all that. And you also have to realize that mainstream science has totally lying to us when they say that gravity is the force that's keeping everything in orbit. I mean, it's got to be electromagnetism playing a much greater role in that. I mean, the Pleiades and the Sirius star system and our solar system are all orbiting around each other. Clearly, gravity is not the only force that's causing those star systems to all be in orbit, because they're like separated way too far apart for gravity to have, even though gravity could go into infinity, albeit at extremely small levels that we can't imagine, it still would be too weak to really have any sort of an effect on at that level. So I guess if I can ask the question any better way, what is gravity and what does it actually do?
When I got, back from dying, then I had to figure out, okay, what words are on this planet that I can use to describe what I knew when I was outside my body. So I've been kind of in search of the right words. And you basically used the right word a while ago, electromagnetic energy. That is the closest, it's not exactly that, but that is the closest that I can come to an English word or word on this planet to describe what gravity actually is. And who really knows, really, if this Earth is round and if those really are planets out there, or if we aren't even, possibly in an enclosed system. And everything that we see is a projection. And if it is a projection, are they using a type of tractor beam to keep us, stuck down to the surface of this planet? Lots of questions there. But electromagnetic energy is the best answer that I can come up with using the words on this planet that gravity is. It doesn't have anything to do with mass or, like you said, anything that they have taught us. Time and space, outside of their bodies, outside of these bodies, it doesn't exist. There's no such thing. Time and space, as far as the experiences that you have on this planet, you can look at it like a software program. It's manufactured. And what happens is, in a line, you have a start point and an end point inside of this. And when you travel along that line, you call it time. You have to have these experiences in a row, in a certain order. You cannot skip around. You have to go on that line, no skipping at all. Outside of these bodies, time is more like, if you want to look at it in 2D, it's like a circle around you, and you're the dot in the center. If you want to look, more like 3D, you could call it a sphere, where in the sphere, you can touch 1 or 2 or 5 or all the parts or the experiences at one time, if you like. But time is just a creation inside of this video game that we're in, where you have to have certain events in a certain order. Space is also created inside of this video game as well. Space does not exist outside. It's really interesting how the energy is manipulated to make it seem like there is space, but it's all holographic. When you have a holographic image, there's no space between one thing and another. It's all projected from one point, so everything exists inside that point. You're just seeing it appear as if there is distance between something. So I don't know if that explained it or not. I've had a really hard time explaining gravity and space and time, but that's the best I can come up with pictures.
There's a lot more to research in that regard, no question. Let's backtrack for just a moment. You talked about the whole thing about people supposed to be dead, but then you see them as alive because they're on a different timeline. Trish Lesage, one of my previous guests, we talked about this. She called it the Mandela effect. Now, Nelson Mandela is officially dead at this point, but there were a couple people who said that they saw him die and they could not understand how he was alive. Same thing, I believe, was true with Fidel Castro. He's still alive, but there were people that said they saw him die. And George Herbert Walker Bush, he recently had, not recently, it was a couple of years ago, I think, he had bronchitis, very severe bronchitis, and like someone who's 89 years old, as he was at that time, if you got severe bronchitis, you're not expected to live. And Mr. Cat-Eye, in one of his videos where he decoded something, he said, I contend Bush did actually die, but he was brought back to life using timeline manipulation technology. And David Rockefeller, who recently turned 100 years old, he probably died when he was deathly ill, like at the age of 97, and couldn't attend a Bilderberg conference. But I contend maybe he was brought back to life by some timeline manipulation and time travel technology. And why would they bring them back to life? Well, those people are either high asset New World Order minions, New World Order puppets, or New World Order leaders, and they want to keep them alive as long as possible so they will be able to see and help out the New World Order as much as possible for as long as they may try to further their agenda, although many would say it's basically a waste because Mother Earth is a true love planet, so it would never allow the New World Order to take over, so they're wasting their time and energy bringing these people back to life. But hey, that's how the theory goes. They can use timeline manipulation and such to bring these people back to life. So since you mentioned this, could you perhaps elaborate us on the science behind how would you use time travel and timeline manipulation to bring someone who died back to life?
On that, I think you kind of answered your own question. You're very thorough. I love this about you, because you were talking about the time travel, and that's basically how you can do it. You can do this also in your own body. You don't even have to have technology. I was able to go back in time, and all you have to do is access other dimensions, come out of your body and access other dimensions. And let me see, maybe this is the best way to describe it. You are in a video game. What we're doing on this planet is like being in a video game. For some reason, in this video game, you're able to come out of the computer and out of the computer screen, and you're standing there looking at the software program. And you have the software program right in front of you. So where you are is not affected by time and space in this manipulated thing that we're in. So while you're able to get out of this video game, you're looking at the software and you can reprogram. You just reach over there to the computer keys and start reprogramming the software. Now, I'm making it sound really easy. You have to know what you're doing when you do this, but that's basically how it works. Is part of you, your body still stays here, part of your spirit still stays inside of this body, otherwise this body would die. But you are able to come out of this body and manipulate the video game by changing the software. So that's one way of explaining timelines. And the video game is such a good way of describing this as far as timelines go. When you create a video game software, you have so many possibilities. You walk into a room, you could go straight into the next room, to the right or to the left. And the program is already written for whatever choice you make. If you go to the right, the scary man's going to come out and kill you. If you go to the left, that room is clear, and everything's fine. And if you go forward, maybe you can have dinner or whatever's going on in your video game. Those programs are already written. So if you're able to get out of this video game, whether it's by use of technology or by the use of your own mind, then you can manipulate the software. And I think a large part of it is a multidimensional type technology that they use to do this. And because they're doing this, because you mentioned glitches, when they do this, it creates glitches. And people go, well, I could have sworn they were dead. Now, when we're dealing with political figures and people in this arena, there's so many possibilities. It could be that they actually used technology for time travel or manipulating the timelines. Or it could be that they just faked their death and they really did not die. I tend to trust when it's, a family member of mine that's died and suddenly they're alive again. I know that's real. When it's something on television, who knows? Who knows? So did that at all or give you a picture at least of how it works?
Frankly, I don't think you could have explained it any better. So thank you for trying your best.
Okay.
Did a great job there. It's a hard thing to explain. I know the whole timeline thing. If anybody wants to learn more about that, check out my interview with Andrew Bashago. He talked about how the science behind that works in much greater detail. But moving on, there were a couple callers in the queue here, but they both hung up. It's a shame. I was going to take the calls right as soon as you finish here. I don't know if they were just listening or whatnot, but hey, if anybody wants to call in, call in number 646-478-4747. Again, 646-478-4747. Only going till 8 p.m. Eastern today. Try to keep my shows to 2 hours. So, but if you want to call in, just by all means do. I'm just going to keep going here. Question here. What are you? Video here. What are you? Indigo, light worker, Pleiadian, or star child? Well, little confusion here. Is there actually any difference between an indigo child, a crystal child, a star child, or are they all different terms for the same thing? And if not, if there is a difference, what is the difference between indigo child, star child, crystal child?
In that video, if it's the video I'm thinking about, the point of the video was basically it doesn't matter what you are, because on this planet we like to put people in categories. We like to be superior to other people or dominant to them or more important or more special than someone else. And I saw so much of that going on in the psychic community. Oh, I'm an indigo. Oh, I'm a crystal, or oh, I'm a light worker. And instead of going, hey, I just happen to be a group of spirits or a certain extraterrestrial race or whatever that came to this planet for a certain mission, everybody was getting way too hung up on what am I and that importance in giving themselves a title. So if it's a video I'm thinking of, my point was stop worrying about it. Stop worrying about what you are. Stop stressing out about it. Because first of all, when you stress out, you become very, very solid in this dimension. And it's very difficult for you to get out into other dimensions and see things and know things. Like, where did you come from? Why did you come here? And all of that. So they were a little bit too much into the third dimension, and I saw what people were doing to each other, and it became very competitive, and I'm more important than you are. So I just kind of put out, hey, stop stressing out about it. Just find in your heart what you came here to do and do it. And don't worry about your title. But there are certain people who came here in waves is the best way to put it. And if you do, need a category, I would probably, by reading all of these traits and characteristics, I would probably be classified as an early indigo. I was born in 1969, but I have all the character traits of, I'm a fighter. I am very stubborn, and I don't believe what people tell me, and I will let them know I don't believe you. And the indigos were basically here to kind of pave the way for the ones that came later who didn't have to do so much fighting and struggling and changing. So in waves, there are ones from all over the universe that have come in groups, some of them large and some of them small. And then it's like, oh, I'm here and I find people like me, so let's name us crystal children. That's kind of what's happened with that. But we're all here to do something very specific and very special. And if you don't figure out what it is, it doesn't matter. You pop out of your body and do what you want after that. It's not a big deal if you don't fulfill it. You just don't learn as much as you were going to learn and accomplish as much in this video game. It's like playing a video game. When you stand up and go eat dinner, who cares what happened in the video game? It doesn't affect the real world that you're in. So it's kind of the same thing. It's categorizing waves of souls or spirits that came to this planet for specific purposes. The cool thing about dying, though, is when you pop out, you go, oh, I was all caught up in hair and makeup that I didn't even realize I came back to do X, Y, Z. That's what happened to me. I remembered why I came here.
Thank you. Now let's turn back the clock and try to summarize some of that stuff you talked about in that in 5D radio interview you did back in the day on the moon matrix. It was a while back when I listened to that, but I did listen to that in its entirety. And first of all, there seems to be confusion over where the moon originally came from. Three different views. George Kavaslis talked about how, he explained how it was stolen by the reptilians after they invaded the Earth after the fall of Atlantis like 13,000 years ago, and they trashed it and destroyed it and all that. But where it originally came from, that's kind of debatable. Alex Collier talked about how it came from the Chauta star system and Ursa Minor, some planet in that star system. And John Lear, in my interview with him, he actually talked about how the moon was invented on Jupiter, and he talked about how, there's a lot of things growing on the moon. There's even trees growing on the moon. The sky on the moon is a saffron yellow color, so if that's true, then I guess they mean they didn't fake the NASA photos and all that. But also, Jay Widener, in my interview with him, he actually said he uncovered or saw some Masonic documents talking about how the moon was, I believe, from the Sirius star system, and it was used as some sort of a safety vessel of sorts for the people to flee, to come to Earth, and they came in the moon. And, well, all these people have asserted the moon is artificial, but it seems they can't really agree on where the moon came from. And well, there's a lot more to that in regards to the whole matrix ideology of the moon, and also how the planet Saturn and the rings of Saturn and how it's a broadcasting system ties into that. But let's take this bit by bit here. The moon, where it originally came from, and was it originally like under the control of good guys and then taken away by the bad guys, or was it maybe always under the control of the bad guys? What do you have to say on this debatable subject of where the moon came from?
I have, in my quest for vocabulary, after I died and came back, I listened to a lot of people and what they had to say about how the universe works, multi-universe, what's going on in the matrix, and what I call matrix drama. The moon is what I call matrix drama. When you pop out of your body, the moon, who gives a crap about the moon? But inside of this video game that we're in, the moon is very important. George Kavaslis, you mentioned him. Out of all the people that I have listened to, I would say that probably over 97% of what George Kavaslis says makes sense to me as far as what I came to know when I died in all of this. So, and the other 3% is possibly something that I just don't know yet, or I haven't remembered. But George Kavaslis is absolutely amazing, and what I think is very, very accurate as to what's going on. I did a lot of remote viewing of the moon because I wanted to know what was up there. I went into underground base on the moon, so I had not gone to the surface of the moon to see what was going on there. At the time, it was like, well, I can see what's on the surface. Why do I have to look at that? So I just wanted to see, was there anything under the surface? I saw what looked like military bases, and the one that I was in, and I didn't go all over the place. After this experience, I didn't go back. Well, I mean, I did go back one other time, but then after that, I think I'm kind of wanted on the moon. So I didn't go back after that. But I looked. It was military style. There were what I call like gray human hybrids is the best thing I can think to call them. They were there. They saw me, which I couldn't figure out when it happened. I was just so freaked out that they saw me and they were kind of coming to get me. They were coming towards me with their arms outstretched like they were going to grab me. And I popped right back into my body after that happened. And then I realized, oh, wait a minute, the moon is in another dimension. The moon is more like the fourth, possibly going into the fifth dimension. The moon is in another dimension, and what we see on it is a holographic screen. That's the best word I can come up with, where what you see is not actually what is there, because a lot of people cannot see into the fourth dimension. I teach people how to do it, and millions of people can do that now. So if they dropped the holographic screen over the moon, a lot of people would actually be able to see what is there because they can see into the fourth dimension and the fifth dimension and beyond. In order to have an object out there that is in another dimension and it is to be seen by humans on this planet and animals and so forth on this planet, they have to project a holographic screen, kind of like entities do, so that they don't just look like a cloud of vaporous energy. They project an image of themselves to people. There's a holographic technology type, I won't say device, but just holographic technology that puts a screen on the moon so it looks a particular way to us so that we can see it. But also the concept of the moon, I mean, look at the Death Star, you know. We have a system of control, and at this point, I have not remote viewed this yet. You know, I'm a mom and a wife, and my daughter's in high school, and we're teaching her how to drive, so I only have so much time to do all this. But when I died and was going towards the tunnel, it was like, oh my gosh, this is manufactured. All of this is like a computer program. The blue guy that was there to direct me into the tunnel, you could tell was a type of technology, a program that, you know, came on once you died, that there was probably not a conscious being there. It was just a program. So I saw that when people go into the tunnel, you're actually seeing what people call God, the universe, the light, whatever created this universe. You are seeing it at the end of the tunnel, but they have an earthly word would be a filter or a trap inside of this. Let's call it a straw that you get. So the tunnel is kind of like a straw. They've got a filter in there, so you're going towards the light. You're going towards God or whatever you want to call it, and then they trap you. And I need to spend a little more time and do some remote viewing, but it appears that this filter is probably the moon, where they trap your soul. Now, they don't trap your soul. There's a big difference between your soul and your spirit. It's not a big deal if they trap your soul or someone steals your soul, because you still have your spirit that's eternal and lives on forever. But it appears that not only do they control a lot of stuff that happens on this planet, but when you die, they catch you in what I call involuntary reincarnation. You can be reincarnated, and it's your choice. I just call that regular reincarnation. But involuntary reincarnation is when they trap you when you're on your way to go see, the light, and they catch you. They tell you, oh, you were a bad boy. Here's all the things you did wrong. You're going to come back as a grasshopper or a cricket or, a subhuman or something back on this planet. And you have to learn these lessons again. That's involuntary reincarnation. In this universe, you have free will. So there is nobody that's supposed to be, stopping you and saying, no, you have to go back and do it over. The only person that can do that is you. So if someone else does it, it's a trap. If you do it with your own free will, then that's actually you doing it.
Yeah, in regards to the moon trapping souls, John Lear did say that it's the far side of the moon, the one that we can't see. That is the side of the moon that does that. And just a quick note, Stuart Swerdlow, I'm not interviewed with him, he said the reason we can only see one side of the moon, there's a misconception here. Some people say the reason we can see only one side of the moon is because the moon rotates at the same speed that it orbits the Earth. But Stewart said, no. The reason we see the same side is because it doesn't rotate at all. It actually wobbles in such a manner. And if anyone wants to check my interview, because I put him on the spot and asked him, how do you know it's not because it rotates at the same speed it orbits? He did give his take for that, and he seemed pretty thorough. So anybody can check that out. But is it the far side of the moon that traps the souls? The one we can't see?
Yeah, I've got my little spiral. I write everything down in a spiral, and I'm trying to find my picture, because once I write these pictures, I kind of think of other things that I forget. So I remote viewed the what they call the dark side of the moon. I remote viewed that, and from what it appears to me, is to be a type of what I call crystal cities, and this goes into a whole other realm. But it looks like a crystal city that has a projection on the side that we can see, and it's just maintaining its position out there because it's a spacecraft, for lack of a better word, or crystal city, energy city. I'm not sure what else to call these things. They're in another dimension, and it houses a bunch of entities or spirits that are in other dimensions, and they have a purpose. These crystal cities have many purposes. They're kind of like spaceships that float, but that's what it looked like to me on the other side of the moon. And I was trying to find my drawing so I could describe it a little bit better, because I write all this stuff down in detail when I see it. So the moon appears to be a type of spacecraft, a multidimensional spacecraft. To me, that's just maintaining its position up there.
You mentioned there is a difference between soul and spirit. I remember during one of Andrew Barges' Galactic Consciousness Explorers League question and answers, someone asked him what is the difference between soul and spirit. He says some cultures claim that they're the same thing, but according to him, you can think of spirit as the fuel that powers the soul. Do you agree or disagree with that statement?
Oh, that's a great description. Oh, absolutely. The spirit is eternal. The soul is kind of like a suit. Like we have a suit on right now that's made out of flesh that everything's inside of for the purposes of, moving around. When you're spirit, you don't really have a personality. When you're a spirit, you just exist, and it's, eternal bliss, and everything is wonderful. But to embody anything, whether it's an animal or a person or someone of another, like an alien race, you need to have a set of codes to govern what do you do. How do you, act like a cat? You kind of need to have those codes inside of you. How do you behave? The soul, for someone, the encoding in it is to come and be a bee pole, on this planet. And some of it is to be, have a wonderful, loving, generous personality. But it's just a suit that you wear that's separate from your spirit. So if you get your soul stolen or you sell your soul to the devil or whatever people do with their soul, it's just a suit. So I think of the spirit as, like if we're talking about this third dimension, the spirit would be like your actual body. The soul would be like a suit put on over it. And then your physical fleshly body would be kind of like an overcoat that you put on it all. So even if you're stripped naked and there's nothing left, at least you have your soul still. So that's kind of a picture of what a soul and a spirit is.
Thank you. Switching gears, I'm seeing there's a video here you made 3 years ago, multi-episode video. This is episode 1, ADD, ADHD, and dyslexia. Okay, I need to ask you about this because a lot of people say that ADD, ADHD, bipolar disorder, and some other disorders that people claim were actually made-up disorders. There ain't no such thing. It was just Big Pharma coming up with some disorder to sell their amphetamine pills and other pills that they want to sell to people. Do you agree or disagree with that conspiracy theory?
Mm-hmm. I've had a lot of time that I have spent researching this with actual human beings, hundreds of human beings. Working through this. There are some chemical things that are going on through our food and our air and other things that are being done to us, which are definitely altering our bodies. But what I have found when I was directing a private school, and we specialized in kids that were ADD, ADHD, dyslexic, and high-functioning autistic kids. At the time, I was still very engrossed in religion, and this was before I died. So I never used the word psychic when I was working with these kids, but I saw that they had an extraordinary ability to take their mind and put their mind elsewhere and be able to see in other rooms and do multiple things, move objects. and such. I was kind of in denial because I was so into religion back then. It was a Christian school, but I was still open-minded enough to see what was going on. The majority of issues that I see out there, like you named, bipolar, schizophrenia, ADD, all of those. Some things are agitated, of course, by food colorings, the dyes in foods, milk that has been overprocessed, and sugars, the flours, anything like that. White food. All of those things aggravate a normal person into behaving like a crazy wild person. Fried foods, things like that. So you start to take these things out of the diet. All of a sudden you have a normal child again. So a lot of the out-of-control behavior, as far as, go medicate that kid so he'll sit in his chair, a lot of that, it appears, is due to diet. And then once you get the diets under control, then the child comes out. A lot of these children, dyslexia is an umbrella for Asperger's and for ADD, ADHD, and a lot of other things. It's kind of the umbrella term. But dyslexia, all that is seeing are thinking in pictures. You have people that think in words and people who think in pictures. People who think in pictures think a lot faster than people who think in words. So they get in situations where they're having to think in words, which is slower, which is boring, and then they tend to get into trouble. These other issues, schizophrenia, you read all the symptoms of schizophrenia and you're like, oh, those are just psychic abilities that someone doesn't have control over. Oh, I can hear voices. Okay, yeah, that's because the entities are talking to you and you have a higher level of awareness. And because, everybody's mad at you because you're saying I can hear things, they're like, that's weird and don't do that, that's wrong. So then you vibrate at a very low level, then you attract entities and things to you that tell you to do bad things. And you can hear them, and they don't know how to shut it off. Taking medication shuts it off real fast, shuts off these abilities. These kids that can't, the corporations put all this junk and this poison into these kids, and they say, oh, your kid can't sit still, drug them. And so drugging them shuts off their abilities. So everything I see is designed to stop what is happening, is a natural evolution, mankind. We are evolving, and they're doing everything in their power to stop this evolution by labeling, by saying, you have to take this medication or there is something wrong with you. So I see a tremendous amount of that.
Okay, and what about like senior citizens with dementia? Some people, they say taking dementia for a senior, like dementia medication for a senior citizen, is just as bad as kids taking medicine at a young age. But other people say, well, no, these senior citizens, you got to understand, if they didn't take their dementia medication, they probably wouldn't even function at all. So give them a little slack in that regard. So what's your take on senior citizens taking like medication for dementia and other things that they claim, well, you kind of need this because there's really no other option for someone like them?
Dementia, Alzheimer's, any type of deterioration of the brain or the mind. I did a lot of research on that. B12 is very, very vital to humans, and B12 is absorbed taken in only one place in your intestines. So as people, I don't use the word get older because there are no age-related diseases. Your body deteriorates because of what you put in it, what kind of food you put in it, and how you treat your body. It deteriorates because you live in a society where people tend to kind of eat the same thing. People tend to deteriorate at about the same rate. So then they call it age-related because, a lot of people at 70, this happens to. But then there's Annette Larkins, who has her full capacity of her brain available to her at any given moment. So it has nothing to do with age, but how you have treated your body. So over time, if you don't treat your body right, your ability to absorb the vitamin B12 gets diminished. And B12 is vital for brain function. So that is the number one deficiency in the United States, is B12. And when you have this deficiency, they tested a lot of people who had Alzheimer's. And a third of the people that had Alzheimer's, once you supplement with sublingual B12, you also need to put B6 with it for absorption purposes. Throw in a little folic acid and everything's great. that cures heart disease right there. When you have sublingual B12, B6, and folic acid, I cured my heart disease that way. My dad cured his that way in less than 18 months. Doesn't matter what's wrong with your heart, it will fix it. But the cool thing about it is sublingual goes underneath your tongue. It's absorbed into your body. It bypasses your intestines, so it actually gets in there. Of the ones that have Alzheimer's, if you give them this supplement, within 3 months, the majority of them lose their symptoms and they have their brain back. So a lot of these that have dementia or Alzheimer's, it's just a deterioration of the brain due to putting toxins in the body over time. Now, some of them, they are destroyed so much that there may or may not be anything that you can do. So if medication, helps them, I don't know. It's up to everybody what they should put in their body or not put in their body. It's not for me to tell them what to do and what not to do. But I always say try natural first. Before you pop a pill, try natural first. Change their diet. What are they eating? I found out my mom went through a state. She's 88 years old, and she was sharp as a tack. And suddenly it was like, what is wrong with her? She can't remember things. What is going on? And when I went to visit, I looked. She said, I started, the doctor recommended that I start eating yogurt. I'm like, oh, great, Mom, that's fantastic. I look on her yogurt, and it's got aspartame in it. Aspartame, plus 100 other horrible side effects is memory loss. So she was having memory loss due to putting aspartame in her diet. So my recommendation is look at diet first, start eliminating poisons and toxins from your diet. Then, second step, see what kind of supplementation you can do or putting good foods into your diet that help with the brain. And then, last resort, if you are just too far gone and nothing is going to help, hey, if there's a medicine that helps Grandpa talk to you a little longer before he dies, go for it.
All right. Speaking of dying, it's a shame I waited until the end of the interview to talk about this, but we didn't really get a chance to talk about your near-death experience. Just so you know, the live feed for this show is going to be going off in 12 minutes and 50 seconds. We can go maybe a little past 8 o'clock if you want to finish a thought, although it won't be a live feed at that point, so people will have to call into the show if they want to listen. But let's try to keep this at 2 hours for the sake of the people who have lousy attention spans and all that. But anyway, I'm babbling long enough. Your near-death experience, wish I talked about this sooner, but I didn't. So I guess elaborate on this in great detail. What happened to you? How did it happen? What did you learn from it?
I had surgery to cut out my wisdom teeth, and I had complications from it. I was in extreme pain 24 hours a day for 10 days. The last 5 days before I died, I had not had anything to eat. And I was taking hydrocodone. That day I had someone who tried to help me with swelling. And I don't take stimulants. I don't drink caffeine, anything like that. And they had me putting tea bags back there for the swelling. So I didn't realize it, but I was just sitting there swallowing massive amounts of caffeine. So caffeine, I ran out of calories. I was taking hydrocodone. It was just the perfect storm. And my body stopped breathing. And when my body stopped breathing, when I took my last breath, I was still what I would call conscious. I was looking inside of my body. I was looking up. I saw this tunnel, and it started to get bigger and bigger and bigger. And there was this blue guy standing to the side of the tunnel. So then I popped out of my body, and it's almost like a pop. You pop out of your body. The blue guy started talking to me, and he said, "Come this way. This is the way to go. Come to me. Come over here." And he was motioning like Vanna White, into the tunnel. So they had kind of like a tractor beam that was pulling me. The whole time you have no sense of pain. There was nothing negative. Just every positive thing you can think of was going on. Unconditional love, warmth, happiness, bliss. You had all that. But I started looking around, and that's when I realized for the first time, oh my goodness, dimensions are not in layers. They're all right here in the same place, because you could see everything. I saw crystal cities. I saw beings that I call space trash. They're intelligent beings, but they look really funny, and they change forms. And you could see into all these other dimensions, and everything was right there. But the blue guy just persisted, and he kept coming to, come this way. This is the way to go. And he wouldn't stop. And I was like, oh, look at all this shiny stuff. It was really cool. My husband was yelling at me, Kelly, breathe, Kelly, breathe. He started to kind of fade away where I couldn't hear him anymore. I had forgotten, just like you step up out of a video game, or you wake up in the morning and you forget a dream. I forgot I had a family. You forget all those things. I was almost to the tunnel when he said, he changed what he said. All of a sudden he said, it's your time to go. And that triggered me. And I said, no, it's not my time to go. I have to go back. And without any effort, I started to go back down towards my body. I still could see everything. At that point, I was fully awake. When you are fully awake, you realize you are in touch with the entire universe, and that there is absolutely no such thing as time or space. You touch the entire universe at one time. You have access to all knowledge of the universe at that moment. You remember who you are, what you're doing on this planet, why you came there. All of this is a realization. I started to hear my husband's voice again. He's very panicked at that point. Kelly, breathe. He's yelling, Kelly, breathe, Kelly, breathe. And then when I popped back into my body, I wouldn't call it a pop. It was like a train hit me. It was like, bam, it hurt so bad. And I was back inside my body. And then I couldn't see into the other dimensions after that. So that was basically my near-death experience. Since I was on like the hydrocodone for another 3 weeks, I didn't think about it again until I got off of the medication when my pain was under control. And I was like, wait a minute, what happened to me? What in the world happened to me? And after doing some research, that's when I realized I had a near-death experience. I had popped out of my body, and that changed everything.
Okay, we got time for one more subject, I guess 8 minutes until the live feed is off. Let's get back to the moon thing. I did briefly mention the idea that the moon acts as an amplifier, the idea being David Icke has become popular for talking about this, although Norman Berggren deserves a lot of credit in this regard, because in his book Ring Makers of Saturn, he talks about how Saturn's rings are actually crystalline and synthetic, and there seems to be evidence that they are actually being either repaired and or constructed in some regards. They're like crystalline and synthetic, and I remember George Kavaslis in one of his presentation on his website, Unraveling the Cosmic Deception or something like that. It's like a 2.5-hour presentation. He talks about how Saturn is a giant broadcasting system, although he doesn't actually mention the moon's connections to that, although in my private session with him, I did try to elaborate on that a bit and see if we could make some connections. He told me, yes, it is an amplification system. The moon is. The Saturn's rings and the planet broadcast stuff to the moon. It amplifies it to suppress Earth's feminine energy. The moon is the ball and chain around the Earth's feminine energy, and the planet Saturn plays a role in that. Also, the illusion of time, because Saturn is the god Chronos, chronology, time. It helps keep us in the illusion of time. But George basically said it's very, very complicated. I would need a long, long time to explain all the cogs and gears and whatnot behind the Saturn Moon matrix. But have you, by any chance, looked at this idea of a Saturn Moon matrix? And even if you haven't, does it resonate with you, this whole idea?
Yeah, Saturn is what I call matrix drama. It's part of it. When you look at the spirits that are in this universe, the spirits occupy not only bodies like yours and mine, and animals, plants. They also occupy planets and solar systems. Solar systems are kind of like a collection of a lot of spirits. and then you get into galaxies and beyond. So all of these are, I don't know if you want to call it entities, but entities are having experiences on every level from, there's an entity inside of one bacteria on up to a galaxy. So you have matrix drama, which are these spirits who live as a planet, and they do what any person in a group does. They play out their personality, and that's what I see a lot going on with Saturn and some of the other planets are entities inside of them playing roles for the purposes of learning, seeing how things work inside of this universe. But I see a lot of Saturn and the alignment to the chakras. So I don't know if I'm really using chakras anymore because I've done a lot of evolving, and I have tried to get out of this matrix drama. And aligning your chakras all the time, that gets to be a trap. And I'm not saying that, you can't get a chakra, clogged up or anything like that, but why did you do it? Once you get out of the matrix, which is getting outside of your body and getting out there and looking at the software program, you go, oh, this is where I screwed up way back then. Let me go back in time, what they call back in time. Let me go back in time, fix this thing in my life, and fix the root of the problem so that I'm not constantly having to clear my chakras and be a slave to the chakra system, which is linked to Saturn's rings as well. So that's the part that I deal with these, is trying to teach people how to get out of the matrix and function on a level outside of all of this drama. And then you start to realize that, oh my gosh, all these influences, that all these things are having an influence on me, I can have an equal or more influence on the things around me than they're having on me. And that's just realizing how the universe works and getting outside the matrix. So this is all cool stuff, way cool stuff.
Right, and it's been said that Saturn is used sort of as a soul harvesting mechanism by the New World Order, and Barack Obama's soul was harvested from Saturn, so says Andrew Bartzis. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, I would definitely not be surprised if that's what was going on, because Saturn, I see it as, like I was talking about the chakra system, how people, when you're looking down and you don't look up, you don't see what's going on. And although this stuff does work, messing around with your chakras is fun and it does work, that's all you're doing. And you don't get out and see what is actually going on a bigger level. So it's a trap. All of this is what I call a trap inside the matrix, and matrix drama. So if you get caught up in the drama, you never really get outside your bodies and see what is going on and find out your true power as a spirit being in this body and what you can truly do. You get stuck, and absolutely.
Thank you very much, Kelli. And since the live feed is going to be going off in 2 minutes, 20 seconds, I guess I might as well bring this show to an end, and I will do it by telling you the same thing that I tell all of my guests. Kelli, you are a fascinating individual, and I have no doubt that if I wanted to, I could do another show with you as a guest. But one of my goals with this show is to get as many different people on my show as possible before I give any one specific guest double dips, because I feel that is the fairest, most impartial, and most informative way of doing a radio show that seeks to expose the true and false nature of reality. So that does mean that I will, in all likelihood, not be asking you to come on my show again, but that's only because I need to give hundreds and thousands of other fascinating individuals the chance to have some glory on my show. But this was very informative indeed. I promise you I will upload this video to YouTube, spread it far and wide so people get to hear the fascinating metaphysical and non-metaphysical things that you have to enlighten us about. It was great having you on. I loved your N5D interviews as well, and I do wish you the best of luck in your future endeavors.
Well, thank you so much for having me on. I really appreciate it. This was a wonderful show.
Indeed, I agree. All right, take care, Kelli. Enjoy the Wave X and all the rest that'll come with it very, very soon. It might be a bumpy ride, but I'm sure we'll last through it.
Thank you so much.
Take care now. Later. Well, folks, that is the end of this show. On the show next week, I will be having Ed Baker, who is running as a third-party candidate for president in 2016. Elizabeth Diamond Mulligan was the one who recommended Ed to me, and he was originally supposed to come on my show earlier, but he had to postpone that because of some UFO conference he was going to. But Ed Baker will be the guest on my show next week. It'll be mostly politics-oriented and probably some other things that many politicians wouldn't dare talk about, like 9/11 and UFO cover-up, because Ed really seems to be interested in exposing that stuff. Well, they'd probably murder him if he was a president and he did expose that. But maybe the New World Order won't be in power anymore if he were to get elected. But anyway, that's the end of this show. Ed Baker on next week. This is Andrew Fisher signing off from Nature of Reality Radio. Namaste, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your trek throughout infinite consciousness.